Hey, newbie gamers, what's happening? You may be deceived into thinking this is a horror game. I do not believe it is, but let's play it anyway. It is the sequel, well, not the sequel, but it is made by the people who made the Stanley Parable, which is a brilliant game and made me laugh lots. So hopefully there will be less screams, more laughs. We'll see.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here.
This is interesting.
So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com.
I'm confused.
Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, hello. What?
Warning. This is a machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
Is there supposed to be no sound
This
on the
game
gun?
is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
This is so trippy.
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere.
I've run out of ammo.
You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets.
Ah.
But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin shield evacuation.
So is this Coda guy dead or something? Like, why is he... Whoa, Why is he looking
I love how
into
you
me?
can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
You know, there are many AAA games where you can look out of a window like this, and if you look down, you genuinely do see stuff like that. Like, because they don't think the gamers will look, and maybe they don't. Maybe it's just me, but I have a really good habit or ability of finding stuff like that in AAA games.
Apparently, this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Oh, okay. Fucking hell, thanks.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the Whisper Machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
The hell?
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the Whisper Machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
So this game is barely finished, yet it's fully voice acted? Bit weird.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
What? What the fuck? Oh my god, hello. Ah, son of a bitch. What?
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Jesus Christ. The past was behind the... Oh, okay, we're gonna get contemporary now,
Yep.
are we?
In this game, you can only walk backwards.
What? What the fuck? You serious? Oh, you're having a laugh? What the
So it's a
fuck?
short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Wait, what was that? Oh, oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, come on. Oh. Fuck's sake.
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that.
I like that.
Which
I don't
to
know
me
why.
is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, no! I don't want to! hell. Oh, I do not want.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
It's Slender.
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
Jesus
I wish I'd
Christ.
known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
I can guarantee you that this person he's talking about is dead. Like, he got so into something and then killed himself. Like, I bet that's where this is going. You know, oh Jesus Christ, this is probably really inappropriate, but there's
Once
something
you've
like
been
this in
slowed to an
Bleach.
absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press the use key on your gamepad, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
That's really trippy. Yeah, I was saying that in the anime Bleach, there's this world called Wako Mondo, which is like the underworld, I suppose, something like that. And there's these buildings that look literally like this. But yeah, that's just me being a little anime nerd. Shall we continue?